Hello, today I'm going to make a lipid bilayer using Blender geometry nodes. To make this lipid bilayer, we have to follow two major steps. So the first one is to create the lipid molecule. The second one is to make the bilayer using geometry nodes. So let's go to the first one and then create the lipid. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to press the numpad 1, which goes to this CX orientation. So there are so many ways that you can make a lipid molecule. You can refer to any YouTube videos that shows how to do that. Uh, it should not matter how you get the lipid molecule. So for this video, let's go with the icosphere, which will give us a little bit more symmetry uh, than other methods. I'm going to increase this subdivision into two like this, and then I'm going to label this one as a lipid molecule. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this one as the head, and I'm going to extrude two tails from this one to represent uh, the molecular structure of a simple phospholipid. So in order to do that, you should pick two uh, positions from here and here. So you can go to edit mode by pressing tab, and then just to have an idea about the orientation, I'll just select something like that, and then you can press this one -C, which will go to the other uh, orientation with Z comes towards you. So from this one, I'm going to select face select mode, and then I want to select something something like here, probably like something like here, and from the other side, something like that. So yeah, so I'll try to, maybe I'll select these faces, and from the other side, maybe this. Okay, so I will extrude these two uh, to make these two tails. Now you can go back to the uh, ZX mode and then press E to extrude these two. Okay, so then what I would like to do is I would like to go to the wireframe mode and then select these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces and press delete, and then click dissolve faces. Here I will do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and press delete and then dissolve faces. And I will go one by one for these two. First I will press R to rotate this one a little bit and scale it down by pressing S, something like that, and then I'll keep extruding, something like that. To give some unstructure, I will rotate a little bit like that and uh, extrude it again, something like that by pressing E. So I can do the same thing here. Select this face, go to press 1 and then rotate until uh, this white line is going to be parallel with X, and then rescale a little bit by pressing S and moving your mouse, and then extrude again. Press E and extrude, something like that. and then rotate a little bit somewhere, and then extrude again, and rotate a little bit from the other to the other side, and extrude. So you can always go back to these uh, these edges, and move uh, move things. So I'll move this one a little bit here, and then you can select the whole ring by pressing Alt and then clicking it on an edge. And then I will move this one by pressing G a little bit somewhere here, I guess. Okay, so now we are almost done. Just to give some curvature to the end, I will press Alt and select this whole ring, and then press Control B to do bevel. And then to increase the cut loops, you can scroll up like that, and yeah, and it will create a nice edge. So I'll do the same thing for the other one too. Press Alt and press again to select the whole ring, Control B, and then move your mouse, and you can increase this by pressing by scrolling up and click to snap it. Okay, so now this should be almost done. So you can go back, and this is how it looks. You can shade smooth like this. To give a little bit more subdivisions, you can go to modifiers and add the subdivision modifier, subdivision surface. So and we put, let's go for 2, and you can see this looks really nice. Okay, so the first part is done. You can rescale it somewhere here, and then move aside Jx, and it will move only in the x dimension. So next step is to create the bilayer. So in order to do that, I'm going to take this window a little bit up and go here, and then go for the geometry nodes. So before that, I will add Shift A and add a plane, something like this. And then I will add the geometry node on top of this one. So then you can select this one and then click new, and we will edit these geometry nodes. Okay. The first one I would like to do is I would like to get the node to distribute points on faces. I'll add it here like that. And then the second one is instances on points. You could see when I had the distribute points on faces, there was a lot of points, and then I added the instance on points, but there's no reference for these instances. To add to each instant, I'm going to add a lipid molecule. In order to do that, you can add the um, object info node, and then select the lipid molecule, and then create and then connect this geometry into instant. Okay, now you see a lot of lipid molecules appears in very high um, scale. To give a small scale, you can uh, add just a value node, and then you can reduce the size. I will go for 0.01 probably. No, I'll go for 0.05. Okay, so now you can see a lot of tiny molecules appear here. You can control the density like this, something like that. Using this distribute points on faces. One thing I want to show you is if you if you change this value from positive to negative, see what happens. If you change this to negative, this will flip the orientation. So I'm going to use this uh, property to make the other layer. So for now, I will keep this one as 0.05 positive. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer into another layer, which will have a negative value. In order to do that, I need exactly all of this one, distribute on faces and instances on faces, object info and value. So I can select all of them, and you can press Shift D to duplicate, and then I'll add it here and then click OK. So because I'm going to duplicate it and add it to the same output, I need a join geometry node to join this input and this input. So I will add a join geometry to here, and then I'm going to add it, join it here. So I will connect this one to the mesh. Now there's nothing happening because we are just duplicating all of these lipid molecules. If you come to the value scale value here, you can make it negative, and then you will see this layer. We have one layer on top and the other layer on bottom. It's flipped, but we don't want like this. It doesn't look like a lipid bilayer. What we want is to move one of these layers up or down. In order to do that, what you can do is you can get a node called set position and apply it here before it goes to the distributed uh, points on faces. So then what you can do is you can simply adjust the value in z, because if you go to uh, z x orientation, you can move these in z up or down. So if, for example, if I move this one, if I change this z value, you can see how it moves. Okay, so what I need is something like this. You can give like 0 point minus 0.045 or something like that. Oh no, I'm sorry. Minus 0.5, and I need a little bit less, minus 0.25, I guess. Yeah, something like that. So this will be kind of like the very basic setup for a lipid bilayer. Okay, so then next we can tweak things, make it look nicer. So in order to like do a little bit of easy tweaking, but you can do if you just look at this one, these are kind of like the exactly the same opposite of a one layer, but it doesn't look good, right? So what you can do is and one thing you can notice is these are overlapping onto each other. What you can do is simply you can go to this distribute points on faces and change the random to Poisson distribution, and then specify which distances that you don't want to have the collision or co-localization, I guess. I'll go for 0.05 and then I'll change this density um, like that. You can increase this distance, so then the lipid molecule will be apart more uh, than the previous case. And I can follow the same thing here, 0.06, and then increase the density. So, okay, you can go here and you can see um, like that. And then you can change these seeds to give a little bit randomness. Okay, so, okay, this will be a very easy way to tweak. So now you have kind of very basic lipid bilayer. So next, I would like to have some kind of like something like not this layer is very flat, but I don't want that. So in order to do some like tweaking with this flatness, we can follow this procedure. So instead of the plane that we added, we can go for a grid, add a grid, and then we can change the position of the grid. Set position. Okay. And then this geometry can be referenced into uh, both of these, because we don't need any more, because we already have a grid. In order to just to show you the grid, I can connect this into joint geometry, and I can um, disconnect this. Sorry, let me disconnect these two first, and then connect this one to the joint geometry, and you can see this grid. If you go to wireframe mode, you can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 edges, but we can change that. Here I will go for 50 by 50. So it's essentially a grid. You can change the grid size here. I'll keep something like that. So then what idea is, we will reference all the lipid bilayer into this grid, and then we will move these grids to give a non-flat nature. So I will still connect this. No, before that actually, I will go to the solid wave, and then I'll show you how this uh, deformation happens. So just let get this reorganized. Okay. So next I will add uh, a noise check texture. Control A, noise texture, and then I will connect this to act into offset. Okay, now you can see it's like moving in unnecessary directions, which we don't want. So we only want to have this deformation in the z uh, direction. So in order to get that, what you can do is you can add the combine YC, and this one connected to X, but we want it to go in uh, Z direction only. Okay, so now you can see it has a lot of deformation, but I don't want that much of deformations, so I will make everything 0, and then I'll go one by one here in scale. Now you can see uh, we have like a subtle deformation, so I will keep it like that. The good thing is you can just change the size of the grid as you want, so you will have a very nice scalable lipid bilayer very quickly. So then I'm going to reference this geometry into the just the geometry node that we created. I am going to delete this one because we don't need that. We are not referencing it, so you can just delete this, and then you can create this geometry into the mesh first one, and this one to the second layer. You don't see anything because it is because we disconnected these instances, so you can reconnect these to join geometry, and now you can see it very nicely here. You still see this grid, but because we have it here, we don't need it. Let me disconnect that one. Okay, now we don't have it. Okay, so this gives you a very nice lipid bilayer which you can easily use for your figures. So next I will do some aesthetic work. I'll add a light, I'll change the colors and etc. So we already have a light actually, so you can take this one somewhere here, and I will change the intensity of the light into probably 200 watts, and then I will duplicate this light. Where is the light? Okay, I'll duplicate and I'll keep it somewhere here, and then I'll take it somewhere here. So let me get this one also just in front of the lipid bilayer, something like that. Then I'll increase the distance a little bit somewhere here. Then I'll go to the camera, then I'll enable depth of field, and you can go to viewport display. I want to see the limit. So I want the focus distance to be somewhere here. Okay, and then I will change the f spots too. Okay, so one thing that I would like to do is I would like to add a material to this lipid, because this lipid is the one that is going to be appearing in this lipid bilayer we just created. You can add some material into this one, and it will be reflected in your lipid bilayer. In order to do that, I will go to the material tab. I will add one here, uh, add a new, and then I will call that in. And then I will change the roughness maybe and something like that. Okay, so now if you go to this shading tab, you will see that color appears in every uh, part of the lipid. You can give a different color to these tails by selecting all of them. So I will try to select, I will try to select this. Let me do that too. Okay, and no, I want faces. Okay, I want to select all of these faces. Okay, no, maybe because I selected the other one, this one too. I don't want that. Oh no. Okay, I think I'm good. So then you can add another one and then create new and assign. I'll call like tail, and then you can change the color here to something like this. I'll change this later. You can exit the edit mode, and then if you go to uh, shading, you will see it's very hard to see here because I don't have a light. But now you can go to the lipid bilayer that we just created, and you can see it appears here. You can quickly change the color palette of that single lipid, and it will be reflected in the lipid bilayer we just created, something like that. So you can choose the colors as you like. Okay, I hope this helps. I will upload this one into our website. You can download it from there. Okay, thank you.